with Hosanna lying on November 11th, was that a reason why you lied as well?
I feel like not saying nothing was like a mutual agreement without making it an agreement.
Okay. Can
But,
you, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what happened for you to believe that there was some kind of unstated mutual agreement?
I feel like just the way she would talk to me, like, just like little comments she would say here and there, you know?
Okay.
When I would try to vent to her about the situation.
Okay. So let's go to October 3rd. When you leave Mr. Dickerson's house, after, using the metal file, did Hosanna wait for you in the car?
Yeah.
And we talked about you kind of being in the house. Were you in the house for a few minutes by yourself before going into the car with her?
Yeah.
Did you force her to drive you to a gas station?
No.
Was it her idea?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell her, no, let's go to the police right now?
No, I didn't.
And then when you went to the gas station, did she pay for the gas?
Yeah.
Did you ever think about just running away right then, taking off?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I feel like at the moment, like, I just feel like, obviously somebody that you love, if you feel like they're in control of the situation, you're gonna like follow suit, you know? And I know now that it was wrong, you know, like, I should have not done all that.
Okay. Why do you say it's wrong now?
Because now I feel like I look back, obviously that was a lot of years ago, you know? So I had a lot of time to like think about it and like, I don't want to say grow up, but like obviously mentally mature a little bit more, you know?
When you say mentally mature, did you think that burning the house down on October 3rd was the right thing to do then?
I didn't know what to do.
Okay. Has that changed then now when you're saying I'm more mentally mature? It's shifted now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back to, when you guys get to the house and you go inside. Did Hosanna go with you inside the house when you had the bottles?
No.
Okay. Did she wait for you outside?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, did you guys all stay together the next day?
Yeah.
And you guys continued to stay together afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we talked a little bit on Friday about the backpack in the house. And just to kind of reorient everybody, who took the backpack out of the house?
Hosanna did.
Do you know what happened with that backpack?
The last time that I had seen it, it was in her sister's car. But she had all her stuff at her mom's house after that.
Okay. When was the last time you saw it?
It was in the car.
Yeah, do you remember like how long after this was from the 3rd?
I think it was like this the very next day or the day after that.
Okay. Did you ever get rid of it?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever see Hosanna use anything in the bag?
I don't even know what she put in there. I know that she had put alcohol bottles that she was drinking from. There was like 2 of them.
Do you remember what kind of bottles these were?
One was it was like a dark bottle, but the glass was like clear. I don't know exactly what it was. And then the other one was a Fireball.
Okay. When did you see her drinking out of these bottles?
The next day.
Okay. If I could just have one moment, please.
Sure.
Stacey, I just have a few more questions, okay?
Okay.
When you had gone back into the house and put the gas in the living room, did you feel like you had to do that in self-defense?
Not necessarily that part.
Okay. Did you feel that that night, using that file, that there was no other option for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, nothing further on direct. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any cross-examination, please? Go ahead.
Okay.
Do you have enough water, ma'am?
Thank you.
Do you understand why we're here?
Yes.
Objection, relevance.
Or overrule the objection.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you understand that we're here because of Christopher Dickerson?
Yes.
If we could show Exhibit 1. That's him, right?
Objection, sympathy.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
Do you get that's why we're actually here, ma'am?
Yes.
Do you get that we're not here for your toxic DV relationship?
Objection, argumentative, and relevance. Asked and answered.
I'll sustain as to argumentative. If you want to rephrase, Mr. Pralia, go ahead.
Do you understand that we're here for your actions?
Objection, asked and answered.
I'll overrule the objection.
Yes.
Do you understand that we're here specifically for your actions of plunging that weapon in his neck
Yes.
5 times?
Yeah.
You understand that?
Yes. Sir.
Objection, argumentative.
Overrule.
And now you're saying that we're here and you want to explain a lot of things because of your social anxiety. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Social anxiety. Can you explain what that means?
Just anxiety do you get when you're social?
Okay.
You're supposed to be
So you
social.
want to avoid social settings, right?
Yeah.
Where was your social anxiety on October 11th when you denied knowing him to a police officer?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Objection, is there a question?
There was a question, Mr. Pralia. I'll sustain to your statement.
Do you know where it's at?
Questions, please.
It was there.
It was there.
Yes.
We just don't see it in the video. Fair? I mean, you just admitted to her that it looks on that video like you don't care, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And in that social anxiety situation, you denied knowing Christopher.
Yeah.
You denied seeing him,
Yeah.
being at his house,
Yes.
stabbing him.
They didn't ask me that.
Okay. Well, you were told of your charges, right?
Your Honor, we'd have asked to take down this exhibit at this point.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
You were told of your charges, right? Of first-degree murder,
Yeah.
arson, burglary, and tampering with a deceased body. And you had social anxiety, right?
Yeah.
And you responded with, "Is there proof of that?"
Yeah.
to a police officer. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Mr. Pralia, are you done referring to this?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Now, ma'am, you talked about your review of discovery, and you would agree with this notion that you were differently situated than any other witness in this case. Fair?
What do you mean?
Well, let me explain. Number one, you've heard everything, right?
Yeah.
You get to hear every witness.
Yeah.
You get to consult with your defense attorneys, right? Before your testimony, right? You did that?
Yes.
During your testimony, right?
Yeah.
Like multiple times during your testimony. I assume this weekend between your testimony? Right?
Yeah, she came and just asked me if I was okay.
Okay. So is that a yes?
Yes.
And you got to review all the supplements, every police report, right?
Yeah.
All the photos,
Yeah.
all the body-worn camera,
Yeah.
all the notes.
Yeah.
Did you review all the notes, or did some catch you by surprise?
Objection, vague.
Give me just a second. Mr. Praley, can you rephrase that? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking.
Well, ma'am, there were a couple notes in opening statements, right?
Yeah.
Like a note to flush.
Yes.
Had you ever gone over that with counsel prior to that opening?
I mean, I just told him that I didn't write it, and that was that.
Okay, and that didn't answer my question, so I'm going to ask you to go back. Did you review that prior to me getting my screen up to come up for opening statement?
Yes.
You had reviewed it?
Yeah, Discovery.
Okay. Do you remember that aspect of the delay in the opening because there was the argument that that note hadn't ever been discovered?
Objection, can we approach?
I wouldn't say setting me up, but making herself seem like somebody she's not.
Okay, so why don't you tell me, why not take this golden opportunity and say, get your ass out here or you're going to end up like Chris?
Objection,
What's the objection?
argumentative and relevance.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
Yeah.
Why not do that? That's a perfect opportunity, right? Instead of you just sitting outside, making it look like you're impatient,
I don't know.
you would agree with me that would make way more sense if she's trying to set you up, right?
I don't know what was going through her mind.
Well, she has free access to your phone,
Yeah.
and she doesn't write that?
I don't know what she was thinking.
Okay. All right, we can take that down. Ma'am, in the last day or so of your testimony, would you consider yourself a meek person? Or a mild person?
Like, what does that mean?
How would you describe yourself in terms of that? Are you very outspoken or are you quiet?
I would say now I'm kind of just neutral.
Just neutral, okay. Pretty passive, goes with the flow?
Yeah.
Yeah? You also testified you really just don't get offended by things, right? Just kind of go with everything? Do you recall saying that?
Yeah, I guess.
You're pretty accommodating in a relationship. Wasn't that your testimony? You don't care how long it takes. You don't care all this stuff. You don't care timing.
Yeah.
You also talked a lot about kind of your personality versus Hosanna's. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you had said on direct examination that you were much more masculine. Fair?
Yeah.
I believe you stated that it's pretty obvious that you're into girls.
I mean, yeah.
Okay? And is that based on how you talk?
I don't know. I feel like it's just like a vibe.
Just a vibe. But you give it off, right? Is that what your testimony was?
Yeah.
That it would be pretty apparent to people, right?
Yeah.
And you had also said that Hosanna was much more feminine, right?
Yes.
And she takes a long time to get ready and I guess gets more dolled up. You had said that she was the one that would get guys to buy the drinks,
Yeah.
right? She would flirt with them, right?
Yes.
And you're the passive person with social anxiety that really doesn't like having conversations with other people.
I don't.
Okay. But then you're essentially saying, as obvious as that was, on October 3rd, Chris just couldn't pick up on anything that you're putting down.
I mean, some guys just don't care.
Okay. But you're
Don't realize
saying,
it.
what was that, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Or don't realize it.
Don't realize it. Okay. So you're saying essentially that Chris was just into you and Hosanna is not getting any attention, right?
Well, no, I didn't say that.
Well, I'm asking.
No.
Who's getting more attention?
I think it was evenly distributed.
Evenly distributed, okay? But he's touching, according to you on your direct examination, he's touching your butt, not hers,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's into you, and you keep deflecting the situation to Hosanna like, you might want to talk to her, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're telling this jury.
Objection, misstating the testimony.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
And that's throughout this night, that apparently Mr. Dickerson is just all about you instead of the more girly girl, feminine woman of Hosanna, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're telling this jury.
Yeah. Well, I was reflecting the conversation to her at the beginning. After that, I kind of just stopped talking in general.
The conversation's in the beginning.
Yeah. That's what I said.
With him?
Yeah.
And so he's just like all about you.
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but yeah, I wasn't used to that kind of conversation. I don't really.
Can you finish your thought?
Yeah, I don't really socialize like that, so.
Okay, and you don't think that would be obvious?
But I don't socialize.
Yeah, to him.
Objection, speculation.
I'll sustain the objection. Mr. Praley, if you want to rephrase, go ahead.
Is it your testimony that Chris just couldn't pick up on any of these things that you're saying that's the way you were that night?
Yes.
Okay. Now, ma'am, I'm going to switch gears to intoxication a little bit, okay?
Okay.
You admitted, no doubt, you're drinking that night and you're drinking a lot. Fair?
Yeah.
In general, do you think people remember more details when they're sober or when they're intoxicated?
Objection 702.
I'll allow the witness to answer if she can answer.
I'm not sure.
You really are not sure if people remember more details when they're sober or intoxicated?
Objection argumentative. She already answered the question.
I'll sustain the objection. She answered the question.
Would you say people are more reasonable when they are sober or intoxicated?
Objections 702.
I'll allow her to answer if she knows.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Do you think people are more reasonable when they are sober or intoxicated?
I'm not sure. It depends on which aspect.
Well, explain that for me.
Like, I don't know. Some people, when they're sober, a lot of people don't even show emotion, but when they go and get drunk, they cry and they express their feelings. Like, so it just kind of like, it's different every situation. Or
Okay. So you don't think people in general are more reasonable?
I feel like everybody's different, so you
Okay.
can never tell.
Okay. You had stated that you were drinking throughout that night.
Yes.
From the time you get with Hosanna, you're drinking in the car,
Yeah.
right? You're drinking at the bar.
Yeah.
You're working very hard to actually get into that bar, fair, right? You're going through separate entrances.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to the point that you kept looking for an after party, right? To
Yeah.
keep drinking,
Yeah, she wanted to go.
but you didn't.
I really didn't.
Okay.
If it happened, if it didn't, I would.
But at that point, you keep drinking, right?
Yeah.
And you had said you get to the point where you're kind of spinning.
I didn't say that. I said threw up.
You're trying to say that at no point during your testimony last week
I said I wouldn't really say spinning.
at all? At any point?
Objection argumentative. She's already answered this.
I'll allow the witness to clarify.
I said I wouldn't necessarily say spinning.
Okay. And at one point, you get so intoxicated that you were throwing up.
Yeah.
Okay. You had talked about this progression of pouring these shots at Chris's house, right?
Yeah.
That he started first. Then it goes to Hosanna.
We all kind of just took turns.
Okay. Let me finish, okay? First, it started with Chris.
Yeah.
He was pouring shots. Then it started with Hosanna. And then at the end, you are pouring the shots, right?
Yeah.
You're pouring them last, right?
Yeah.
You are the last one to keep pouring vodka, Ciroc, as you said, for Chris.
I wasn't the last one, but yeah.
Okay. And everybody agrees you had just met Chris.
Yeah.
You agree there's this trip to pick up Dolores.
Yeah.
And you agree that his phone's working at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because he's getting phone calls,
He's on it, yes.
right? And then ultimately, really where this comes back, it diverges once you get back to the place, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, in the end, and we'll talk in more detail, you would agree that no one stabbed Mr. Dickerson other than you,
Yes.
right? I mean, Hosanna didn't,
No, I said that.
okay? And you would agree that when his phone's going all these places after the fact, he's not alive, right?
No.
Okay? And he didn't tell you in his last dying breaths, hey, take this ring, take this phone, right? He never gave that to you. And then you agree that Hosanna goes out and gets into the car before you, right?
Yeah.
You know all those details. Fair?
Yeah.
And you agree with all that. Fair? Mm-hmm. You agree that you come out minutes later and actually get into the car.
Yeah.
You agree that you drove to this gas station.
I didn't drive, but I sat passenger seat, yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. You guys go to that gas station. Mm-hmm. Gas is purchased. You return to Mr. Dickerson's house. He was dead at that point, right?
Yeah.
You agree that you're the only person who actually goes in.
Yeah.
You would agree because he's dead, he can't give you permission to go in.
And Ms. Rodriguez, you have to answer out loud.
Yeah.
You agree that you go inside and you start the place on fire.
Yeah.
You agree that when we look at those photos of Chris, that's because you burnt him,
Yeah.
right? And then you agree that you go back to your brother's house and you switch to get into the the Tahoe, right?
Yeah.
Okay? All those things you agree with.
Yes.
But we really disagree about this event of what happens in that struggle, right?
Objection, counsel's testifying.
I'll allow the question. Ms. Rodriguez, can you repeat that answer? It's really hard to hear you sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, when we get to that self-defense, is that's what you're claiming, right?
Yes.
You're saying to this jury, Chris deserved to die.
Objection, can we?
Fair to say you're telling this jury that based on Chris's actions, you had to kill him.
Yes.
And no one else stabbed him. We've established that, right?
Yeah.
And when we go through that progression that you talked about last week, you are saying that at some point, Hosanna just brings this weapon out
Yes.
and just gives it to Chris?
I don't know who she was giving it to.
Well, she didn't hand it to you, is what your testimony was last week, right?
We're right in front of each other. I said she could have been drunk. She was drunk. I don't know.
Like, that's a pretty big drunk mistake of like, hey, I'm going to go over here. I see that you're in the struggle, and I'm going to then take this weapon, and I'm just going to come over and hand it to the wrong person.
Objection, counsel's testifying.
I'll overrule the objection.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, well, I can't speak for her. I don't know what she was thinking.
But you're speaking that that's what she did, right?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you why she would, if you're in trouble, your life is in fear,
Yes.
that she would bring it to a person that she hadn't met versus her lover?
She was also drunk, so I don't know what she was thinking.
Okay.
I can't speak for her.
And so we're just going to stick with the she was drunk.
I assume.
Okay. But you agree, in terms of her role, all Hosanna did, in terms of that weapon, was go get it and bring it. Now, you say she gave it to Chris. She says she gave it to you, right? But you agree she just transported the weapon.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you had said at some point that you used a Budweiser bottle before you had stabbed him, right?
Yeah.
And I believe your testimony last week was that essentially those Budweiser bottles are out and around. Fair?
Yeah.
And you were drinking some of those. Chris was drinking some of those.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay. And ultimately, at some point, you picked that bottle up and you threw it at him.
I didn't throw it at him. It went over him.
It went over him. And I assume it broke, right?
I don't believe that it broke.
So we just throw a bottle and it didn't break anywhere.
No, it hit cushion, so I doubt that it broke.
Okay, so now you're saying it hit a cushion.
Well, I
Do
said
you
it hit
recall
the
saying that last week?
Yeah, I recall saying that it hit the couch.
Okay, so there's just this throwing, you only use a bottle one time and now it hits the couch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your testimony.
Yes.
And does that bottle ever get used again?
No.
Where does it go?
I don't know where it went.
You have no clue?
The couch, but
But there were multiple bottles around, right?
yeah.
You agree that after you light the house on fire, those could have burst, right?
Objection
I don't know
caused
how that works.
speculation.
I'll accept that. I'll let the witnesses answer, Stan.
You don't know, ma'am?
I don't know how that works.
Okay. And then it's your testimony, based on last week, that Hosanna is essentially in the room with you the entire time period of this altercation. Fair?
I'm pretty sure, but I mean, I wasn't really looking at her. I don't know where she was.
Well, you weren't really looking at her, right?
Yeah, obviously I was focused on the situation that was happening.
Yeah, but you're also not looking at him when you're stabbing him, right? Remember your testimony last week that you're just...
Objection, can the witness answer?
All right, Mr. Fraley, let her answer the last one before you move.
Okay.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, you're not looking at her, right?
Yeah.
You're not looking at him, right?
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Objection, counsel is testifying, asked to
I'll
strike.
sustain the objection and strike counsel's response.
So you know all these details, but you don't know what you're looking at in terms of who else is in the room or where Chris is positioned or where Hosanna's at?
Objection asked and answered.
I'll overrule the objection.
When I wasn't looking, it was like obviously I was looking at him most of the time, except for those few seconds that happened.
Okay, so you're looking at him pretty much the whole time except when you're plugging away into his neck 5 separate times in a very close area.
I didn't know that I did that at the moment.
But you did, right?
I did.
Okay. And so what I don't understand on this in terms of this progression where you talk about this happens in the kitchen, he's hovering over you, you push him into the fridge, you're trying to leave, and then he pulls Hosanna back, right?
Objection, counsel is testifying. We'd ask to rephrase without what he doesn't understand.
I'll overrule the objection.
Is that yes?
Yes.
Why would Hosanna not say, we are trying to leave?
Objection, cause for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection.
I don't know.
Why would she not say she got pulled back?
Cause for speculation.
I will sustain the objection, Mr. Fraley.
You're saying you saw Hosanna get pulled back,
Yes.
but you're at the door, right?
Yeah.
You're the first one. You're the fast one,
Objection, counsel is testifying.
Overruled.
right?
Yeah, well, I walked out, grabbed her hand and pulled her. Yeah.
Okay, so you're at the door before her.
Yeah.
So you're looking forward at this point.
Yeah.
She's behind you.
Yes.
How do you see behind you that Mr. Dickerson pulls Hosanna?
I turned around because I couldn't get the door open.
Okay, so you just can't get the door, and at that time is when you see him pull her back. And what does he actually do to her?
Nothing. I told her, I pushed her back. I was like, leave her alone.
Okay, so at that point, you're at the door, you can't get the door open, you're trying to leave, and he's charging towards the door?
Or at us. I'm not really sure at what. Well, he grabbed her, so.
Okay, and you can't get that door open. You had no problem the rest of the night getting the door open when you came back, forth, right?
Yeah.
But in that moment, you couldn't get out. He pulls your girlfriend back, And then you turn around and you push him, right?
I pushed her back
You pushed her back?
from the door or before that.
I'm still talking about this door situation,
Yeah.
right? You can't get the door open. Hosanna's behind you. You said you turned back, and that's when you see Chris pull Hosanna.
Yeah.
And then do you push him?
No, I scooted her back.
You scoot her away,
Yeah.
but he's pulling her.
Yeah. And obviously after that, the attention reflected on me.
Okay, because she's being pulled back and you're pulling her out of the way?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I kind of just separated the situation.
You separate it. Okay, and then do you react to Chris?
I told him to leave her alone, yeah.
Okay. And did he touch her again?
Oh, he got in my face after that and
He
pushed
got
me.
in your face.
Yeah.
Okay. And at what point then do you push him?
This was before when I had to push him, it was in the kitchen.
You only pushed him in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, so now after he pulls Hosanna and you then get her out of the way, he directs his attention at you,
Yes.
right? And
I said yes.
yes? And he doesn't have anything in his hands at this point, right?
No.
Right? We're not to that point in the story.
Your Honor, could we approach, please?
And so again, he's not holding this, is he?
No.
Okay. And so then tell the jury what happens after. After you pull Hosanna away and he comes towards you.
He pushed me onto the couch.
He pushed you to the couch. Ma'am, how much do you weigh?
I'm not sure. At that moment, I'm not really sure. Like 250?
Okay. And is it your testimony that he's super strong?
I believe that he was. And I was also drunk, so it was easier to obviously catch me off balance like that.
Okay. So it's because at that point you're very drunk and your balance isn't
He's
good.
also a man, so
Okay. And you would agree that you outweigh him, right?
yes.
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
And you're just saying because he's a man, he can push you all the way through the couch, right?
Yeah.
That's your testimony.
Yes, it is.
Objection asked and answered.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. And then ultimately, at that point, he's intoxicated too, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So his coordination, his balance is off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that applies equally to people?
Objection 702.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how often,
I'll overrule the objection.
how much he was drinking.
Okay.
And Ms. Rodriguez,
yeah.
can you repeat that since we were talking at the same time?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how much he was drinking, so I don't know how drunk he was.
Okay. And then ultimately you go, this is where we now get to the couch, right?
Yeah.
And there's this whole dynamic struggle. Is that fair to say that a lot of people are moving, turning, sliding,
Yes.
right? A lot of movement.
Yeah.
And you're saying he's holding you at one point with one hand, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything in his hand at that point, right?
No.
He doesn't have a bottle in his hand.
No.
He doesn't have the weapon in his hand.
No.
And he's just holding you.
Yes.
And you guys are both on the couch at this point?
Yeah.
And then at that point, you start discussing that you're kicking him, you're punching him, you're trying to get away.
I wasn't punching him.
You never punched him? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. And then at that point, just randomly, this weapon comes miraculously from Hosanna to you.
To one of us, I'm not sure who.
You don't know if it was Chris, or you don't know if it was to you?
I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know who had the weapon first?
No, I don't know who she brought it to.
Okay. Who did it go to first?
He
Who
grabbed
touched it first?
He did.
Okay. So then at that point, Hosanna just brings it to him.
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
He didn't have it in his pocket, right?
Right.
And then ultimately, you talk about this struggle for this weapon where you are able to overpower him and get it out of his hands, right?
Yeah.
And this is a very dynamic event.
Yeah.
I mean, you're fighting him off, right?
Yeah.
He's not on top of you. He never stabs you with it.
No.
You're squirming.
Yeah.
He's squirming.
Yeah.
You're kicking him.
Yeah.
He's kicking you.
Yeah.
You're both moving around.
Yeah.
You're trying for this beer bottle,
Yeah.
right? And you throw it with an inside hand motion. You recall doing that last week?
Yeah.
And that's how you did it?
Yes.
And now it just hit the couch and just stayed there, right?
Yeah.
And then ultimately you roll to the floor.
Yeah.
Are you on top or is he on top?
We're side to side at the beginning.
Side to side, so you're now on the floor.
Yeah.
You described it as a semi-roll.
Yeah.
And ultimately you are able to get this weapon out of his hands.
Yeah, it was two of my hands on one of his.
Okay, so you could overpower him.
Yeah.
And you put your weight on him, right?
No.
Not at all?
I was over him, but I wasn't laying on him.
Okay, so how do you just pry it out?
I just went over him.
So you're just stronger in that moment.
I mean, I guess.
And ultimately, at that point, you're not looking at him. Once you get that in your hand, right? Once you get this, 143, once you get this in your hand, you're not looking at him.
No. Well, he kept grabbing me by my face, so I looked away.
Say that again, ma'am.
He kept grabbing me by my face, and he looked away. I would look away.
He kept grabbing your face?
Yeah.
Do you recall testifying to that last week?
I'm pretty positive, yeah.
Okay, so he's like grabbing your face.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, not strangling you, right?
No, it's in my face.
Say that again, I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said, no, it's in my face.
What's in your face?
His hand.
Okay, so his hand is in your face.
Yeah, so I just
But
turned.
you just turned. You could do that, right? You're able to break your face free, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, you have this in your hand at this point.
Yeah.
And I recall last week that you were essentially saying you have this weapon that you had seen, right?
Yeah.
And you agree there was a handle on it at some point,
Yes.
and that you have it in your right hand,
Yeah.
and you're right-handed.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, you're saying that you're essentially going backwards,
Yeah.
right? Just like a tricep exercise, kind of, right?
Yes.
And you don't know where that's going because you're not looking at him.
No.
It's your testimony that during any of those tricep exercises with that weapon, that you're not looking at him, right?
Yeah.
And you start stabbing him. To be clear, you're trying to stab him, right?
Yeah.
That's not an accident.
No.
You're intentionally doing it,
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
right?
Right.
You're deliberately putting your hand back towards his face or wherever he's at.
Yes.
And if I understand your testimony last week, you're saying that he's still continuing to grab you during this time when you're doing these tricep exercises.
Yes.
And So he's grabbing you. Was that the demonstration that you and Ms. Trujillo had?
Yeah.
And you're kicking him,
Yes.
and he's kicking you, apparently, right? And so we're moving all these ways. Fair?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not just laying there, is what your testimony is.
Yes.
Okay? Do you find it astonishing that each of those 5 stab wounds are in such a small area when with all that movement?
Objection relevance?
I'll overrule the objection.
Objection, I think council might need to rephrase. We can approach if
Agree with me on all that movement, right?
Yes.
Is it surprising or shocking to you the number of times you stabbed him?
Yeah.
Is it shocking and surprising to you with all that movement how close all of those stab wounds are in the same area on his body?
I mean, it could happen.
Say that again, ma'am.
I said, I mean, it could happen.
It could happen?
Well, yeah, it happened here with that.
I mean, with all that movement, aren't you equally surprised that you didn't hit him one time in the arm?
objection relevance?
Overruled.
I guess.
Or the chest?
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am, you got to speak up.
I said, yeah. Yes.
That surprises you?
I mean, if it did or it didn't, I feel like it's everything. The whole thing is like, I really don't know what you're asking.
Okay, what I'm asking, have you ever played darts, ma'am?
No.
No? You know what a dartboard is, right? Generally?
Yeah.
You've seen them at some bars? Like
Yeah.
it's the
I've seen it.
circle, has different numbers?
Your Honor, could we rephrase?
I'll allow the witness to answer if she knows. I think she was about to answer.
You can answer, ma'am.
I've seen it like on the phone apps and stuff.
Okay. You understand there's like different numbers and then there's a bullseye there, right?
Yeah.
It would be pretty hard for somebody to not look at a dartboard and hit the bullseye 5 times, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the odds of that are?
I'm not sure.
Pretty low?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
I'm not sure.
What do you think the odds are that if there's all this movement that you hit him 5 times in the same spot?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure at all?
No.
And then ultimately you're saying at no point is your hand coming forward towards him, right?
What?
Is it your testimony based on last week that at no point when you're holding that weapon that your hand is coming forward rather than going back?
Yeah.
Yes? You're agreeing with me that you're not super coordinated that night because of how intoxicated you were, right?
Yes.
And you're not saying you're the strongest person that any of us have met, right?
Yeah.
If we could show 170. Do you see that, ma'am?
Yeah.
Does that look like that just went in a little bit?
No.
Looks pretty far, right?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Yes.
And you would agree with me that that corresponds to the last time you hit him with that weapon,
Yeah.
right? You plunged that in so far. If we could show 156. You plunge it all the way through that, ma'am. Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and look. You agree with that scale, that's a really far way.
And Mr. Praley, when there's objection, give me a chance to hear it. And I'm sorry, Ms. Trejo, I only heard the objection. I didn't hear what it was.
I didn't think there was a question. It was go ahead and look. Is he asking her a question?
Yeah,
He can direct her to the exhibit, so I'll overrule the objection.
you see in 156, that's his neck, right?
Yeah.
You put that object in his neck,
Yeah.
and you see that scale at the bottom, and you did all of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you would agree with me, that's not a little distance.
No.
You would agree with me that based on that and 170, that the blunt side is going into his neck.
Yeah.
And you would agree with me that in order to put the blunt side that far into his neck, that would require a lot of force.
Well, yeah, the last time that it happened, I felt what happened. I felt onto him what happened.
Okay, so the last time you had a lot of momentum and a lot of force?
Yeah, I didn't realize I had did it before.
Say that again, ma'am?
I didn't realize that he had got stabbed when the last time happened.
Okay, well, I guess we can show, say, 160. See, that's pointing out the hole there, right?
Yeah.
And then 161's right next to it, if we can show that. You didn't realize that you're missing, that you're hitting at the same point, like centimeters away?
No, I didn't realize that.
Okay, and then we get into 162. And Dr. Burson talks about each of these stab wounds right in there. You see this, man?
Yeah.
And all of those were only caused by you.
Yeah.
And all of those, you would agree, are very close together.
Yes.
And it's your testimony today that you just didn't know you hit him
Yes.
because you're not looking at him.
Yeah.
We can take that down. And is it your testimony today that you didn't realize that just because you're not looking at him?
Yeah.
Did you notice any blood?
In the heat of the moment, I honestly didn't.
164. Ma'am, on 164, there was a discussion of the carotid artery. You see that?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. It's over there.
Okay. You understand that Dr. Burson testified about how much of a bloodletting process that would be.
Yeah.
You also heard your co-defendant discuss all that blood,
Yeah.
and you just didn't notice the blood?
In the heat of the moment before the last time, I didn't.
Okay.
It wasn't until after that.
We can take that down. And then ultimately, we get done with all that. You're saying heat of the moment, cools down. You see him with that weapon plunged into his neck, the handle broken off, right?
Yeah.
You got the handle.
Yeah.
You keep the handle.
No, I dropped it on the floor.
You just dropped it on the floor.
Yes.
Did it get burnt in the fire?
I assume, yeah.
Okay. And so, in that moment, afterwards, it's your testimony then that as he's dying there, right,
Yeah.
that you and Miss Varela just start going through his stuff.
She did.
She did.
Yes.
You had no part of that.
No.
Okay. But she had no part of the murder, right?
No.
She didn't stab him once.
No.
And so now you're saying as he's laying there choking on his own blood, she just decides to go through his stuff, but you do nothing.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
Objection asked and answered.
I'll overrule the objection.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
So she's going through his bedroom.
Well, initially she had said she was looking for cameras.
She's looking for cameras. Well, cameras would help you though, right?
I don't know.
Well, you're explaining to this jury that some person put you in a position where you had to stab him 5 times to save your own life, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't a camera be pretty helpful for that if this is true?
I don't know. That's a question for her. That's just what she said.
Okay. Well, you would agree that those cameras would help you, right?
Yeah.
They just didn't exist, is what you're saying.
I don't know.
And so after you look for cameras, that you don't see any, then she starts going through all the stuff,
Yeah.
right? You didn't do any of that,
No.
but you knew she was.
Yeah.
Objection asked and answered.
Overall.
And you're putting at least gloves on at some point, right? At least one.
Yeah.
That was your testimony last week. You don't cover up the bloody hand, your right hand,
Yeah.
but you throw it on your left hand.
Yeah.
Why would you throw on gloves if you're not going through anything?
She told me to.
Okay, so at this point, you're just listening to her,
Yes.
and she's ordering you around,
Yeah.
even though she had no part of the homicide.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, she's ordering you around, and then she goes out to the car without you. Right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she order you out to the car?
I don't know. Obviously, that's not a situation that you know?
You would agree she took stuff, though, right?
Yes.
And you knew of that stuff,
Some of it.
okay? Well, you knew his phone, right? You'd agree with me on his phone that that was taken.
But yeah.
You're not disputing that.
No.
You're just saying you don't see this ring,
I don't.
okay? And then she, meaning Hosanna, tells you that she's going out to the car, right?
Yeah, she said, let's go.
Okay, so she tells you to go, and you don't listen at that point.
And I wasn't really listening the whole time.
Say that again, ma'am?
So I really wasn't listening like the whole time.
You really weren't listening to her at any point?
No, she was telling me to help her and I didn't.
Okay, so you're not listening to her at all when she says, let's get out of this guy's house that you just stabbed 5 times, right?
I ended up doing it, yeah.
So that's not a social anxiety situation for you to talk back to your lover who's ordering you to commit a burglary in that moment, right? That's not a social anxiety situation? Because you stand up to her, right? You say, I'm not robbing that guy.
Objection, counsel is testifying. There are multiple questions without an
All
answer.
right, Mr. Praley, give her a chance to answer.
You can answer me.
Question?
Yeah. You're standing up to her in that moment, right?
I mean, like, I wouldn't have was just standing there.
Say that again.
So I kind of was just standing there.
Okay, ignoring her then,
I wasn't ignoring her. I wasn't really catching what she was saying.
because you couldn't hear?
At that moment, I felt like a lot of emotions
Okay.
got in the way of,
Like guilt,
I would say, like more shock and panic at that moment.
shock, and panic? Okay. You had discussed with counsel this whole like fight, flight, or freeze, and you hadn't heard those before last week's testimony, right?
Yeah.
And you had agreed that you were more of like the freeze type.
Yeah.
But you would agree with what you just described in the actual murder where you stabbed him 5 times with what's in front of you. That's a fight response, right?
Objection, invading the province of the jury in regard to murder.
Over.
Yeah.
So in the moment before, you're in a fight mode,
Yeah.
and you actually killed him. And then afterwards, you're getting bossed around, and you just, I can't take this. And you just shut down and stand in there for a couple minutes by yourself and your thoughts
Yeah.
while Chris is gargling on his own blood.
Yeah.
Okay. And in that moment, you didn't listen to her. You'd agree with that, right?
Yeah.
And you stay in there as she goes outside.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, you go out to the car,
Yeah.
not in a fast way, right? Earlier in the night, you talked about this whole that you're running to the door, trying to get out. You can't open the door, right? You ran there.
Didn't run.
You didn't run?
I walked fast.
Walked fast?
Yeah.
You would
kinda
agree
like
with me
rushed.
that... Go ahead, man.
I finished it.
What's that?
I said I just kind of rushed.
Rushed.
There's not enough. Yeah.
A fast walk.
Yeah.
So you had a fast walk to the door to try and get out before anything happened, but you don't have a fast walk when you go to the car after you've murdered him, right?
No.
That's a slow walk. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Objection, counsel is testifying.
I will sustain the objection, strike counsel's response.
And so then, right after, you get in the car. Yes?
Yeah.
And Hosanna is driving.
Yeah.
And it's your testimony at that point, the woman who had no part of the homicide,
Yeah.
the woman who simply brought the weapon to Chris according to you,
Yeah.
you according to her, right?
Yes.
She then says, we got to burn this place down
Yeah.
and kill the dog.
Yes.
Okay. And so are you saying that she then drives to the gas station?
Yes.
Is there any discussion happening?
No.
And then you go to the gas station. Do you actually pump the gas?
Like in the bottles?
You get a bottle,
Yeah.
and ultimately, do you fill it with gas?
Yes.
And then you go back to his residence,
Yes.
and you're saying it's Hosanna's idea to do this,
Yes.
even though she doesn't go in,
Yes.
and you're being ordered at that point to go in and burn the place down
Yeah.
and kill a dog.
Yeah.
And you just take that order,
Yeah.
okay? And so you go do that. So when you walk in, right, you know he's dead.
Yes.
You know you're not authorized to be there, right?
Yeah.
You go in the front door.
Yes.
The dog's in there.
Yeah.
Is Juna by Chris's body?
I'm not sure.
Do you think that dog would be protective of its owner that is bleeding on?
Objection, calls for speculation.
Oh.
Relevance.
I'll sustain the objection.
So you just don't know where this dog is,
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
right?
Yeah, I said no.
But the dog's inside,
Yeah.
and ultimately, you don't kill the dog.
No.
You let the dog out
In the back.
into the back. If you're under so much control from her, why not kill the dog?
I don't know.
I mean, that's what you were ordered to do, right?
Yeah.
At that point, you're following orders,
Yeah.
but you didn't follow that one.
No.
So your social anxiety didn't cripple you then.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to nobody.
What's that?
Social anxiety is like when you speak.
Okay. Well, it's also how you act, right?
Yeah.
And in that situation, you're ordered by Hosanna to go in, burn a place down, and kill a dog. And you say, hey, I'll burn this place down, but I'm not killing that dog.
Yeah.
Okay? That's your action. That's your choice. Right?
Yeah.
And then you actually go in, and it's your testimony you brought the gas,
Yes.
right? And did you put the gas out?
Like pour it out or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And ultimately, you get a lighter that you would have, right? Because you smoke.
Yeah.
And you light a piece of paper on fire. Was your testimony last week, right?
Yes.
And then ultimately, you drop that to the floor and start watching it burn,
And watch the paper burn.
right? And you knew what was going to happen with that paper.
Yeah.
You knew what that was going to do to that area.
Yeah.
You knew what that was going to do to this body.
Yeah.
You knew in this case that Mr. Dickerson had to be identified by dental records.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah.
And then you calmly walked back out to the car. Right?
Yeah.
Not your rushed walk the first time when he was trying to chase you in Hosanna.
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
Yes?
Yes.
And then you drive away. Right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, you switch cars
Yeah.
and you start laying low.
I mean, I wouldn't say laying low.
Okay? And this happens for a period of time. You had talked about that you don't want to go to the police because you don't trust the police, right?
Yes.
And ultimately, in terms of these conversations afterwards, you're saying there's just kind of this agreement that you wouldn't go to the police, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not what she wanted. Isn't that what, you didn't want that either though, right? Right?
Yeah.
And you stated on direct that you understand that it looks like you wanted to get away with it,
Yeah.
right? That's pretty obvious to you, isn't it? Now looking back?
Yeah.
And then there are these conversations after, and you say, it's not what she would want. Guess what I fail to understand is, why wouldn't that have helped you?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, why wouldn't it have helped you for you guys to go to the police?
I don't know.
It would have, right?
Yeah, I think we're just scared at the moment.
Okay. But she didn't kill anybody. You did.
Yeah.
So it benefits you to come to the police and say, I did it out of self-defense, right?
Yeah.
And it benefits her because she's with you and gives that weapon.
Yeah.
So why in the world wouldn't it help her as well?
I don't.
It would, right?
Yeah.
And she's not the one doing it. It helps her and it helps you. That's a 2-for-1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, ma'am, during this time period, you talked about these jail letters, and there's a couple that I want to be very clear. You're saying that you did not write. Is that fair?
Yes.
If I can approach, and I'll take this away, ma'am. Showing her what's been marked as 220. Ma'am, you recognize 220?
Yeah.
But again, that's not one you wrote, is your testimony?
It's not.
Nothing I say is going to change that, fair?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to approach with what's been marked as 238. It's discovery page S3638.
What's the base page?
3638.
Correct.
Sorry, wait. Word of the objecting.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 238, ma'am. I want to ask you and kind of go page by page on it, okay?
Okay.
You would agree on the cover, on the outside, that would be like an envelope, right?
Yeah.
And you would agree that it says that it's from Stacy Rodriguez, that's you?
Yeah.
You would agree that it's saying that you are at the Weld County Jail?
Yes.
And you would agree that it's saying 2110 O Street?
Yeah.
That's the jail, fair?
Yes.
And then that's addressed to Janira Rodriguez
Yeah.
in Evans. And there's a stamp on it.
Yes.
And you know Janira, right?
Yeah.
And she's a friend of yours?
Yeah.
And then on page 2, you can just look at that, ma'am. On the top corner, you number those. You see the 1 up at the top? That's technically on page 2 of the exhibit.
Yeah.
Okay? And fair to say there's nothing like domestic violence related in this letter?
I don't believe so.
Okay. You include a drawing in that? You can look through it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You drew that?
No.
Okay. And the final page, you see that it says La Amor de Mi Vida and then Stacy Rodriguez?
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah.
You would agree with me as to all those foundational aspects?
Objection, we'd ask to rephrase.
I'll allow the witness to answer the question if she
Should we do
understands.
that?
Yeah, you agree with all those things that I've just gone over, that that's from you?
Yeah.
Do you need more time to look at that letter? Okay. Fair to say, in this one, you wrote that letter? Is
Yeah.
that a yes, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I move for the admission of 238.
Any objection to 238?
Yes, can we approach?
Sure.
Okay, this might be easier for you, ma'am. This is.
Do you want these ones back?
Is that easier?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and keep that one, and then here's the other one. So, for example, on page 2 of 220 that you didn't write, you would agree with me that towards the bottom, you talk about your Janira putting money for you on the phone. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And that's, again, the letter you didn't write. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, you believe Hosanna wrote that letter?
Either her or somebody else, but it wasn't me.
Say that one more time, ma'am.
It's either her or somebody else, but it wasn't me.
Okay, so it could have been somebody other than Hosanna that would know all this,
Yeah.
but you're sure it's not you?
Yeah, well, I will tell her stuff. I'm not denying that I never wrote her,
Okay.
but these ones I didn't write.
Okay, I understand, ma'am. And nothing I'm going to say is going to change that, right?
Correct.
All right. So if we're looking at Exhibit 238, in general, you would agree that 238 is written to Janira.
Yeah.
And so somebody would have had to write 220 and just reference Janira and know that you're also writing Janira, right?
Yeah, well, she knew that.
She would know that.
Yeah.
She being Hosanna,
Yes.
but it could have been somebody else who wrote it too.
She could have somebody else do it.
Okay.
I really don't know.
All right. So let's go to the beginning of 220 and maybe we just put up 220 if we can on page 1. Ma'am, you again don't recognize that one? Fair?
No.
Okay, I'm going to approach and just, if we could zoom in kind of right after the middle. Do you see up at the top, even being spelled E-V-A-N?
Yeah.
Do you spell even that way?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And specifically, we can zoom out of there, that's where it says, I'll always keep that promise. I've been told you since day one, that's all on me. I ain't no bitch. I know all the shit that's under my belt, mamas. I'm just sorry that you're getting hurt in the process. Trust me, Ma, I do feel for you, but I'ma fix it on my truck. You're my only worry during this. I don't give a fuck about nothing else, not Evan, me. Right?
Yeah, it says that.
Okay. And you would refer to the Tahoe as your truck.
Yeah.
Okay. And then even further on that, it says, I'ma hold it down with Fetty no matter what. Don't feel obligated to be nice or think you gotta be with me because it ain't Evan, E-V-A-N, like that, Ma. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can flip to the next page, or we can go to page 3. Do you want to look at that? Like even on page 3, approximately 9 lines down, you say, not even, spelled E-V-A-N. My own mom got that kind of hold on me. You're the love of my life, dude. I was supposed to be with you forever, right?
Yeah, it says that.
Okay. And then if we can go back to 238, and this is the one you actually wrote. Right? You see on page 2, which is really page 1, like the first page of the letter, fair?
Yeah.
You see, I guess if we could publish 238. Go down 1 page. And you would agree with me that approximately right in the middle, it says you can't even, and it's spelled Evan. Fair?
Yeah.
And that's the letter you wrote.
Yes.
Okay? So that is how you spell it. Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. On 220 that you're saying you didn't write, you talk about me, or it says me, Pinchy, Gordita, Hermosa. And then on page 3 at the top of the letter, it discusses that. Do you see that, ma'am?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Praley, give me 1 second. Can you, we have a juror with their hand raised. Give me a second. Praley, you may resume.
Thank you. Ma'am, where we left off, we were dealing with 238 in the middle of the page. You wrote, I miss your fine ass, Bebecita Hermosa. You see that?
On the yellow page?
No, ma'am. On 238, that'd be the white one that you admitted to writing?
Yeah.
Okay. And you would agree then, comparing that to 220, that would be the note that you're saying you did not write, that on page 2 it says, me, Pinchy, Gordita, Hermosa, on that one, right? On page 2?
Yeah.
It's at the top of page 3 of your letter, again, referring to Hermosa. And specifically, me, Gordita, Hermosa. What's that mean?
I'm not really sure.
Not really sure?
Yeah.
And then again on page 6 of 220 that you're saying you didn't write, dealing with my Gordita Hermosa again. Is that Spanish, ma'am?
Yeah.
Do you know what it means?
Which part?
Me Gordita Hermosa?
No, not really.
No? But what's Hermosa mean?
I'm not sure how to explain it.
Okay. Well, in 238 you wrote it, right?
Yeah.
So why'd you write it?
It's kind of like a nice.
Like an endearing term?
Yeah, but I don't know how to explain it.
Okay. But you wrote it in 238, right?
Yeah.
And you would agree that it's found multiple times on 220 that you didn't write?
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess we could skip ahead, for example, on 238, that's page 2 of 7, that's your first one. LMFAO.
Yeah.
And you wrote that letter, right?
On the 238.
238, ma'am, just to be clear, is the one you admitted to. That's the white one,
Yeah.
okay? And you discuss, I hope you like this drawing. And then you do the LMFAO.
Yeah.
After you say, I just want you to show off my last name like no other, LOL, call me corny, LMFAO. What's that stand for?
LMFAO.
What's that?
LMFAO.
Yes.
Laughing my fucking ass off.
Okay. Why are you shy to say that? Are you shy to say that?
No.
I'll allow the question, given the witness's answer. And I'm sorry, Ms. Rodriguez, can you repeat that answer?
Laughing my fucking ass off.
Okay.
Fair to say that you say that throughout this message that you wrote on 238?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's in a variety of places.
Yeah.
Okay. You understand that it's in a variety of places on 220 as well?
Yeah.
That's the one you didn't write?
No.
So somebody would have to know that you write that and then flood it throughout the letter, right?
Yeah.
What about SMH?
Yeah.
What's that stand for?
Shaking my head.
Okay. And so on the white one, 238, for example, let's just go to page 2. We can go ahead and publish 238. Approximately middle down here we have shake my head. See that?
Yeah.
See it? You wrote this one, right?
Yeah.
And there's references to that on throughout this. Yes, multiple pages.
Yes.
Is it surprising to you that on the other 220 that you're saying you didn't write, so there are approximately 5 times?
Yeah.
I mean, on page 3, there's 2 of them. If we could go to page 3 of 220. Remember seeing in that it says, so I heard about that fake ass blue baby, you dumbass lady made. I broke that shit apart with her ugly STD, have an ass, go get one, bro. Cause these bitches, she fucked you something, SMH. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, but again, you're saying you didn't write that.
I did not.
Okay. And then at the bottom of page 3, it says, I don't know why, because clearly you don't give a fuck, SMH. Right?
Yeah.
And then at the bottom of page 6, right above where it says Baby Joker, it says, I miss you so much, stupid. I hope you miss me too. Shake my head. How you holding up?
Yeah.
And then it goes on to say, I hope well because I know you not a little bitch. And this female saying you would be on some shit in her room said it was cause all the shit I put you through. Is that true? Right?
Yeah.
But you didn't write that.
No.
Okay. In terms of, we just read this aspect of STD, right? You saw that?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you say a lot?
Kind of.
Okay. I mean, did you write it in 238? That's the one you admitted to writing, right?
Probably.
Okay.
What page is it on?
Well, the STD on, let's go page 4 of 7. At the very bottom. You see where at the bottom of page 4 or 7 that it talks about, I ain't trying to do nothing with them, LOL, the day I do some shit with one of these nasty little hoes, is the day I lose all self-respect for myself, LMFAO. I swear that's when I lose myself, and that's not me no more, but I highly doubt I would ever, LOL, like these hoes be nasty, ASF, STDs have an ass, putas compared to you. These bitches make me want to throw up, LMFAO. And again, we've transitioned from page 4 to page 5. Right?
Yeah.
So you would agree with me that we've just looked at 238 that you wrote. It deals with these other nasty little hoes, STD asses. And then on 220 that you're denying that you wrote, that same information's in there calling people that.
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't write it.
I did not.
Okay. What about low key? Do you say that in a lot of your writings?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes? What's that mean? Like you're low key?
No. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like
Well, who would be better to explain your own writings than you?
not really. It means
Not really?
kind of. I don't know how to explain the word. Like
Okay.
I know how to use it as a sentence, but
Okay. Well, why don't we deal with this then on 238? If we could go to page 3. That's the white one, to be very clear. Okay, and just to reference here, you see low key there, and then again low key here.
yeah.
I'm low key going crazy, LOL. Not like for real, but you know, kinda, LOL. See that next sentence? Are you looking at it, ma'am? It doesn't look like you're looking at it.
I can see it from over there.
Argumentative.
All right, he can direct the witness to the exhibit.
I see the whole screen behind you.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure you're following along. You see that it says, I like to send letters because I could say everything without getting shy, LOL. Right?
Yeah.
And then you see just where in this, you would agree with me that there's this discussion of you specifically thinking about that night at Banditos when I had my hand on your waist. I was over there walking like I was that MF inward El Chapo. LOL, all eyes on me and everything. I have never in my life felt that MF cocky. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? And then and then you go to talk about that your LMFAO, you really be low key. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, you wrote 238. Okay. And then going back to 220, do you remember hearing the testimony and looking at page 2 of 6 where it said, I ain't scared of none, LOL, bitch can be my number 6 under my belt if you catch my drift. Anyway, I low key ain't crazy no more. I be so calm, LMFAO. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Would you like to look at it?
What page is it?
Objection. I think she answered, if she remembers that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have that, Ms. Rodriguez? You have both of those letters in front of you?
Yeah, I have all the letters.
Okay, all right. Mr. Praley, go ahead and proceed.
And so that was on page 2 of 6. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
But again, you did not write that.
I did not.
And then on page 3 of 6, on 220, you said, go get one, bro, because them bitches, she fucked something, shake my head, happy, I ain't fuck with them, but I ain't write you to talk shit. Well, low key, LOL, because you about to make that old ass bitch get pimp handed. Is she quite being scared, LOL, right?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. Throughout these letters, you would agree with me that there's TF written?
Yeah.
What's TF?
The fuck?
Okay. There's ASF.
Yeah.
What's that?
As fuck.
And you would agree with me? They're in both letters?
Yeah.
Okay. Throughout these letters, there's a discussion of stupid little hoes, ugly little hoes, nasty little hoes.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, on page 3 of 238, you write that?
Yeah.
And you would agree with me on 220? That's contained throughout it?
Yeah.
Okay. But you only wrote one?
Yes.
Objection asked and answered.
I'll allow the question.
Talked about the STDs, right?
Yes.
You see the references in that?
Yes.
That's a pretty specific thing, right?
Yeah.
That you wrote in 238, but you're saying you did not write in 220.
I did not.
All right, what about page 4 of 7? There's a discussion that Janira had given you pictures, and there's somebody in your cell that was asking to see a picture of your lady. And so I was like, okay, OMFG, tell me why I had to take that shit out of her hands faster than you can catch an attitude. LOL, dumbass. Little hoe was drooling all over my pictures and almost had to smack the hoe. LOL, got me fucked up looking at mine like that. LOL, I miss talking to you for hours. See that?
Yeah.
So there's a discussion that that someone's looking at a photo of Janira, right?
Yeah.
That you have,
Yes.
and so somebody's at the jail, because that's where this was written,
Yeah.
and that person looks at the picture of Janira and is drooling over here and almost made you need to smack that hoe. Right?
Yeah. Didn't really happen. I kind of just said it so I could blow her head up, but
Say that again, ma'am.
I said that didn't really happen. I told her just to blow her head up.
Oh, okay. So you're lying in this letter.
Or just not lying, but playing.
Okay, just playing. Okay. And then back in 220, you agree that on page 3 of 220, you said, I ain't fuck with them, but I ain't write you to talk shit. Well, low key, LOL, you about to make that old ass bitch get pimp handed. Right?
Yeah, it says that.
You would agree that smacking a hoe and pimp handing are pretty similar
In a sense, yeah.
in a sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it deals with the fact that you're discussing in each letter the fact that somebody's going to get smacked. Right?
Yeah.
What about the N-word?
Yeah.
Do you see that in each letter?
Yeah.
Right? And you wrote 3 of 7. That's where that you were walking around like that MF N-word El Chapo, right?
Yes.
And we've already established multiple times that on page 2 of 6, where you're saying, until I started hearing shit, I wasn't hurt inward. I was like mad, right? And you would agree on page 4 that there's multiple references where you state the N-word,
Yeah.
okay? So somebody, again, you wrote 238,
Yeah.
that's the white letter, and you use that term to describe yourself, right? You wrote that out, and then we have at least 3 or 4 references in 220 of the same word,
Yeah.
okay? Throughout these, is there the discussion about hooking up with other people and fucking around on each other?
Yeah.
Okay? And you would agree you wrote the one and you're saying you didn't write the other.
Yes.
But that same topic's there throughout it.
Yes.
Okay? You sign off on 220 or at the bottom of the page, La Amor de mi vida.
Yeah.
Right? What's that mean?
I don't really know how to say it in English.
Can you try?
No, it's difficult.
Not at all.
But
You can't give it.
Objection asked and answered.
I'll sustain the objection.
You can't say anything about it?
Objection asked and answered.
Mr. Prelate, she said she couldn't say it, so we'll move on.
You agree that's on page 7 of 238? That's the final page when it says La Amor de Mi Vida, and then it says underneath that, Stacy
If we could
Rodriguez.
Fix that whatever's being published.
Are you,
If
What?
it's- if
are
it's the
are you able
full
to
thing.
spin it around? If you can't spin it around, that's fine, Mr. Braley, if that's not possible.
I mean, I think that's how it was copied, Judge, so.
Okay, all right, I'll overrule the objection.
You see that, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of these letters, you would agree that a person would have to, well, I guess tell me, do you believe the handwriting is similar?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly?
Yeah.
Okay. So you agree with me that the handwriting is similar? And then just tell me, yes, you agree in 220 you referenced Janira.
Yeah.
In 238 you wrote it to Janira.
Yeah.
You would agree with me that even is spelled Evan throughout both of these?
Yes.
Question asked and answered.
I'll overrule the objection.
And so a person would have to write that throughout, know exactly how you spell this,
Yeah.
right? They'd have to use the term Hermosa, LMFAO, right?
Yeah.
Shake my head,
Yeah.
low key,
Yeah.
TF,
Yeah.
ASF,
Yeah.
stupid little hose,
Yeah.
ugly little hose,
Yeah.
nasty little hose,
Yeah.
STD having asses,
Yeah.
smacking hose,
Yeah.
the N-word,
Yes.
infidelity,
What?
infidelity, cheating on people,
Oh, yeah.
right? La amor de mi vida,
Yeah.
right? They'd have to do all that. They'd have to know all that, number one, right?
Yeah.
And then they'd have to put all that together in these notes.
Yeah.
And specifically, that's what you're saying happened.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's probably a good stopping
Okay,
point then.
under oath, and the state may resume.
Thank you. Ma'am, in direct examination, you were asked about the body-worn cam of your arrest on November 11th, right?
Yeah.
And again, throughout your testimony, you've discussed this social anxiety.
Yeah.
Wouldn't interacting with police cause you great anxiety?
Yeah.
On that day, did you have that?
Yes.
Do you think that's depicted very well in People's Exhibit 142?
Not really.
I'm sorry, ma'am, if you could speak up?
Not really.
Why do you say that?
I don't know.
All right, well, why don't we watch it then? Let's start with 142
Objection, cumulative.
from,
The court will overrule the objection. Mr. Braley, you can go ahead and proceed.
let's just start from 2:35 to 6 minutes.
So we're working on a case. Do you mind if I talk to you for a couple minutes about it? Okay. Does this person look familiar?
No,
Okay. Have you ever seen him before?
no.
Okay. Have you ever been to the Convictive Bar downtown Greeley?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay. What do you remember when you were there last?
Maybe like last Thursday?
Last Thursday? And prior to that?
I don't know. I would go often, yeah. Kind
Okay.
of.
So you've been there often.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this person before at the bar there?
No.
Okay. Have you ever been to 23? Correct. 2413 15th Avenue Court in Greeley?
No.
It's all rough, like by 25th Street, 11th Avenue.
No, where's like that? Like,
What's that?
Like the stores by there? Or-
Well, it.
Oh. No.
Okay.
I go to couple like after parties, but I don't think I'm there.
Okay. Would there be any reason that you don't remember him because you were too drunk to remember him?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Would you have been too drunk to say that you were been over at that house?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not doing that.
You don't think you've been there? Okay. What vehicle do you usually drive? This one? Okay. Is Is there any other vehicles that's registered to you?
No. You can check, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's only this one.
Okay. And is that Hosanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you guys friends?
Yeah.
Okay. More than friends?
Hey.
Yes?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Are you girlfriends?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't really like announce it. Kind of like,
Whose vehicle is this?
just like,
Okay. What vehicle does Hosanna drive?
she has one.
She doesn't have one? Okay.
Well, I think she used to, but I don't know what happened with that. You can like ask her about that.
Okay. Do you drive a Malibu?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. Have you ever driven a Chevy Malibu?
No. I don't know this one.
Just this one?
I think I'm gonna have my title.
What's that?
My title, do you want it?
For the Suburban? No, that's okay. I can run the license plate if I need it.
Oh,
So you never driven a Chevy Malibu?
no.
Is there a Chevy Malibu registered, anyone that you know? Like a silver Chevy Malibu?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Can I get your current address?
Oh, yeah.
That piece of paper. Yeah, I talked to Stacy here. She said she doesn't know who this is. She was at Cubetta's last Thursday, and maybe a week or two prior to that.
I would go up and play on.
Yeah. She doesn't believe she's ever been to the 2413 15 Avenue Court address. She doesn't know anybody who drives a silver Chevy Malibu.
No.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And have you ever driven a Chevy Malibu? No. Okay. What's your current address right now?
45. 40. West Church.
Would you agree with me when we've now watched a portion of 142 from 2:35 to 6 minutes? Would you agree that you are speaking softer today and last week when you're being asked on direct examination than you were in Exhibit 142?
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
Okay. You're quieter in court.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in here.
Okay. And so is that the reason you're speaking quieter?
Yeah,
Okay. Would you agree that you're more passive on Friday and today than you were in the video?
what do you mean by that?
Like passive, like shy.
I feel the same.
You think you're the same?
Yeah.
Well, there you're telling the officer, you can check the registration. You know how to do that, right? You're telling him what he should do, right?
Yeah.
You're asked about the Chevy Malibu, and it's your testimony today that you just don't know what a Chevy Malibu is?
No,
You don't?
I didn't.
You don't know
Just
makes
called it-
and models?
I don't.
Well, don't you think that'd be a good time to try and clarify when he's saying it's a Chevy Malibu and you're like, I don't know cars, like makes and models?
No.
You don't think that'd be a good time to bring that up?
I mean, yeah, but I didn't think about it.
Okay. What about, did you think about it when he talked to you and clarified what color it was? When he says it's silver, didn't you think, hey, maybe that car that I've been driving that's silver, that's part of my family's, maybe I should tell him?
I drive a lot of great cars. That wasn't the only great car that I was driving.
Say that again, ma'am, I'm sorry.
That wasn't the only great car that I was driving.
Okay. So you didn't think you should bring up the make and model? You don't think you needed to bring up I drive a lot of silver cars?
No.
Okay. At this time, you were around Hosanna Varela, right? Like you guys are in that car together?
Yes.
And specifically, do you recall that at approximately 10 minutes and 24 seconds that you guys are separated, right?
Yeah.
And she's over talking to Detective Burrows, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that, right?
I seen it in Discovery, but I couldn't see it from where I was at.
Well, there's windows in this car, right?
Yeah.
You can look through the windows.
Yeah, but I didn't see her.
You didn't see her?
I did not.
If we can play clip 2 from 10:24 to 11.
Like I knew she had walked through the back, so I didn't directly see her.
You didn't directly see her. So you don't know if she's talking to Detective Burrows? Is that your testimony today?
Yeah, I don't know where she was at.
Okay, if we can play 10:24 to 11.
Let me get out of the wind just to call back.
If we could pause it right there. Is it your testimony today that you are not facing back towards the back of your Tahoe?
Yeah,
And there's windows in that car, right?
yeah,
And you would agree with me that Hosanna Varela and Detective Burrows would be that side?
well, she got off on that side, but I don't know if she was standing there.
Okay. If we can keep playing.
What are they telling her?
I can't hear her.
Did that help refresh your memory at all?
I don't remember seeing it.
Well, you just saw it though, right?
I know, but
Objection argumentative.
All right, I'll allow the question.
Did you just watch it?
yeah,
Do you agree that you're facing their direction?
yeah,
Do you agree that you said, what are they telling her?
yeah,
And then you hear Detective Hunziker say, I can't hear.
yeah,
And your testimony is still that you don't know that they're talking because you can't see Detective Burrows and
Well,
Hosanna?
I knew that they were over there, but I didn't see her like physically. Like I don't remember seeing her over there.
But you specifically said, what are they telling her?
Well, I knew that she was over there because they took her around that way,
Okay,
but I didn't physically see her body.
okay. All right. And again, you've previously said that there's just this mutual agreement that you guys have to keep quiet and not tell the police at this point, right?
Yeah,
And that's just something that you had felt in general because you valued her life,
yeah,
right? But then you're asking what they're talking about,
yeah,
right?
right?
And again, Detective Hunziker tells you, I can't hear what they're saying. But you got to watch it, right?
The
In
video.
this trial,
Yeah,
right? And you know what he is telling her, right?
yeah,
He being Detective Burrows. He's outlining the charges to her. Is that fair?
yeah,
And he's asking the same questions that you're getting asked.
yeah,
And so you know the answer now, right?
yeah,
You talk that this agreement just came out,
yeah,
that you guys would keep quiet. And you knew from October 3rd on that you had stabbed Christopher Dickerson 5 times in the throat, right?
yeah.
That you had taken his stuff,
I did not.
okay? You didn't know that?
I said I did not take it.
Okay. That you had gone back and burnt his house down,
Yeah,
burnt his body, and you knew that.
yeah,
And during this time period, you'd agree with me that you're sending notes about they'll kill a MF for you, 6 feet under, no joke, right?
yeah,
And all that's happening before we're seeing this,
yeah,
right? And then you discuss having social anxiety on this day, specifically in this body-worn cam,
yeah,
right? And you agree to this jury that this video that's fair and accurate makes it look like you really don't care.
yeah. The battery that was in my hand helped a lot.
The what?
Battery?
The battery in
There
your
was
hand?
a battery that was in my hand.
Okay. And that helped make it look like you didn't care?
No, that helped with the anxiety.
Okay.
So it was more.
So you were just holding a battery
Yeah,
in your hand, and so that made it That reduced your anxiety?
Slightly.
Okay. So then, when you're informed of the charges at 11:10, maybe we should just play it. Let's go ahead and play it. From 11:10 to, say, 11:56.
Is there a question?
I'm sorry, Mr. Pirelli, can you pause it?
Sure.
Mr. Hio, I couldn't hear you.
Objection, is there a question or are we just?
So he can refer the witness to the exhibit and then ask questions after that.
What you're arrested for?
No.
Being arrested for first degree murder, arson, burglary, and tampering with a sex body. Okay.
Is there proof of that?
Yes. Okay. If you want to talk to me, I'll hear your story. I'm going to talk to you, okay? It's up to you. You don't have to talk to me. But if you want to tell me your story, I'll listen.
So, ma'am, after being informed of first degree murder,
Yeah.
you responded, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Arson,
Yeah.
tampering,
Yeah.
and burglary.
Yeah.
Your response was what?
Is there proof of that?
Objection, we just watched it.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
And you're telling this jury that you had social interaction or social anxiety right then?
Objection, badgering, at this point, we've talked about the social anxiety at length.
All right, I'll overrule the objection.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's what you want this jury to believe.
Well, I knew that it was happening.
You knew what was happening.
Social anxiety.
Okay. And your response to it is there proof of that after being told that you murdered someone,
Yeah.
that you burnt their house down, burnt their body down, and took their stuff,
Objection, asked and answered.
right?
Or overruled.
Yeah.
Those are my questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Any redirect examination, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. All right, Stacy. Social anxiety happen when you're alone?
Not really.
Is it usually when you're around a bunch of people?
Yeah, like a lot of them.
Do you usually get pretty anxious when you're in new situations?
Yeah.
Give me just a second. I'll sustain the objection, and Ms. Trujillo, if you want to rephrase that, go ahead.
If you're in new situations, do you get anxiety?
Yes, I do.
Do you get anxiety if you're in new situations involving new people?
Yeah.
Do interactions with police for you kind of start that anxiety?
I'll allow the question.
I can re-ask it. Do interactions with the police kind of start that anxiety for you?
Yeah.
Has it always been this way?
Yeah.
Was your social anxiety a little bit different when it was just you and Hosanna together?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Well, I mean, I was comfortable with her.
Okay. So with social anxiety, did that really come into play when you guys were driving to the gas station?
Leading.
I'll allow the question.
Did social anxiety come into play when you guys were going to the gas station on October 3rd?
Not really.
Why not?
Because it was just me and her.
Okay. Now, we talked, well, the prosecution talked a lot with you about those letters.
Yeah.
Okay. In those letters, you weren't discussing what happened with Mr. Dickerson, right?
No, I was not.
In those letters, were you embarrassed when the prosecution was reading them out loud?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, for one, it's because I didn't write them, you know, and I don't know, just the things that says in there, you know.
Do you think it would have been, well, I guess if it was embarrassing, why didn't you just say you wrote them?
Because that's not what I did.
I want to kind of just maybe talk a little bit about what the jail is like for, people that don't know. You mentioned in the letter that you did write to Janira. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And there was a drawing in the back of that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And you told Mr. Perelia that you didn't draw that, right?
Yeah.
Did somebody else draw that for you?
Yeah.
Would that happen often in the jail?
People drawing stuff for me?
Yes.
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. Would it happen often that, some people's handwriting, for drawings or, people would just kind of like share that type of stuff?
Objection leading.
Yes.
Give me just a second. I'll allow the question. Ms. Rodriguez, can you repeat your answer, please?
Yes.
Okay. Would you consider the jail to be a private place?
No.
Okay. Do oftentimes people know who you're writing?
Yes.
Do oftentimes people know what you're writing about?
Yes.
Was it possible for other people to see letters that...
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll allow the witness to answer the question.
Was it possible for others to see maybe letters you were receiving?
Yes.
And was it possible for others to see letters you were writing?
Yeah.
Now, you did you write Hosanna letters in the jail?
Yes.
And why are they different than the ones that the prosecution is suggesting you wrote?
Because the ones that I had wrote her were like brief.
Okay.
I think the longest one that I had wrote her was like a Bible verse, but that's it.
Now, we heard a lot of the language that was used in the letter that you write to Janira. Some, would you agree, or were there derogatory or kind of offensive words in there?
Oh, yeah.
Were you meaning to offend anybody?
No.
How is the way that you're talking in the letter that you wrote to Janira different than the way you're talking to the jury?
I'm a lot more comfortable with Janita, so I can talk in different.
When you're talking to the jury, are you embarrassed to use swear words?
Yeah.
When you're talking to me, are you embarrassed to use swear words?
Yes.
You and I have been working together. Have we been working together for a while?
Yeah.
All right. Just one moment, please.
Sure.
Okay. So let's go to kind of the morning of October 3rd when you're in Mr. Dickerson's house, okay? The prosecution had kind of talked about, I think Mr. Pralia had called it a tricep exercise. Explain to me kind of what you were thinking about when you had stabbed Mr. Dickerson. What was going through your mind at the time?
That he was going to kill me.
Were you able to see him when you initially hit him with the metal file?
The last time?
No, when you first did.
No.
And why not? Can you explain that to the jury, please?
So I wasn't looking.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Because I wasn't looking at him.
Okay. Why weren't you able to look at him? Or why weren't you looking at him?
Because he grabbed my face and I didn't want him. I just wanted to get away, but at the same time, like, stop him,
Okay. At one point, you testified that, you had the handle broke because you had put all your weight on it. At that point, were you facing Mr. Dickerson?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you explain to me how that changed?
I had sat up.
Okay. And did you move over?
Yeah.
When you sat up, what was Mr. Dickerson doing to you?
He was still grabbing me.
Okay. How?
My shirt.
By your shirt? Okay. Like on your chest?
Yeah, more like right here.
Okay. When you had sat up and turned around and he grabbed your chest, did you feel like you had any other option?
No.
Did you want to put that metal file in Mr. Dickerson's neck?
No.
Did you want to do that 5 times?
No.
Were you even aware it was happening?
No.
Now let's back up a little bit, still kind of with the same topic. When you and Mr. Dickerson are on the couch, you had mentioned throwing a beer bottle. Do you remember talking about that?
Yes.
Okay. And the prosecution had asked you if that bottle broke, right?
Yeah.
Can you just kind of explain how you initially grabbed that bottle?
I was trying to reach it with my fingertips first, and then Little by little, it was scooted closer
Where was the bottle?
on the floor in front of the couch.
On the floor, you said, by the couch?
Yeah, right in front of it.
And then when you grabbed the bottle, how was Mr. Dickerson holding you?
Right here, is that like a, I don't know what this part's called.
Your arm?
Yeah.
The upper part of your arm? Did he have both hands on each side of your arms?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you grabbed the bottle, did you have free range of motion?
No.
What did you do with the bottle when you grabbed it?
I threw it, and then it went over him.
Okay. Did you ever grab a broken piece of bottle?
No.
Did you ever grab another bottle?
No.
Did you ever hit Mr. Dickerson on the head with a broken piece of bottle?
No.
Now, you talked with Mr. Perelia about the blood and kind of what Hosanna had said also about the blood. When you saw Mr. Dickerson, you know, after you had kind of gotten on top and after the handle had broken, did you see blood?
Yeah.
Was there was that something that stuck out in your mind?
Seeing that. Yeah.
Did you kind of get stuck on that fact?
Yeah.
Can you explain how?
Like how it happened.
No, how you got stuck on it. You know what I mean? Can you explain that emotion to me?
Like I felt like I just felt frozen. Like I don't want to say like an out of body experience, but I felt like I couldn't feel my body.
Okay. Where did you see the blood on you?
My hand.
Is that why you put the glove somewhere else?
Yeah.
On the other hand?
Yeah.
I'll allow the witness's answer to stand.
Let's talk about darts. Did you know what Mr. Perelia was talking about when he brought up the darts to you?
Kind of.
Kind of. What didn't you understand? Just what darts are?
Yeah.
Okay. When you were with Mr. Dickerson and you were defending yourself, did you think about where the metal file was going?
No.
Did you intend for it to kind of hit the same spot?
No, I kind of was just, it was in the same motion.
Yeah. When you had the file in your hand, did you flip it around or decide what end to use?
No.
How did it happen? Can you just say, like, can you explain, like, when you had it and then when you used it the first time?
Honestly, I just grabbed and then like everything just happened so fast. Like,
Mr. Perelia had brought up the living room door with you. Do you remember testifying that you kind of struggled with the door handle?
yeah.
Okay. Why were you struggling with the door handle?
I think it was the emotions that I felt at the moment, like panicked, and I feel like my hands just went like I couldn't control them and I couldn't.
Sometimes when you're nervous or panicked, your hands shake.
Yeah.
Has that been happening throughout your testimony?
Yeah.
Is it something you can control?
No.
Thinking of that, let's talk about the battery real quick. I know we're kind of jumping, but you had said that the battery in your hand in the car on November 11th helped you. What do you mean by that?
Like just kind of like fidgeting with other stuff. I feel like helps a lot with my anxiety.
Okay. When you were there and you were with Detective Hunsinger and Detective Burrows that we saw in that video, was it the social anxiety that led you to lie?
Yeah.
Okay, in what way?
I feel like just like what police in general, you know, they just give me anxiety. So
Okay. So that was November 11th, 2021. You know, it's been a few years. Have you ever, how do you feel about lying now?
feel bad about it.
Why do you feel bad about it?
Because I should have tried to tell the truth about what happened.
Okay. Okay, I apologize for jumping around, but I want to go back to the house, okay?
Okay.
So fidgeting for the door handle. When you were at the door, did you know where Mr. Dickerson was?
No.
Okay. When did you know that, I mean, when were you aware of where he was when you were at the living room door?
When I turned around to look at Hosanna.
Okay, is that when you turned around to push him away from Hosanna?
Yeah.
When that was happening, did Mr. Dickerson seem like he was falling over drunk?
I mean, I think he got pretty good grip on her, so I don't think so.
Let's go when you guys were in the kitchen and you had pushed Mr. Dickerson off of you. You testified on direct that he had kind of grabbed onto the fridge, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. When he was grabbing onto the fridge and afterwards, did you feel like he was, you know, kind of uncontrolled, like didn't have control of his body?
Yeah, I think that I had caught him off guard.
Okay, it caught him off guard?
Yeah.
Did you think it caught him off guard because he was so drunk?
I think it's because obviously, like him being a man, he overpower a girl. So I don't think and then especially because he had to look back to look at her, and then it just came out of nowhere.
Okay. What happened between you and Mr. Dickerson that night? Did that have anything to do with him being a man and you being a woman?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Okay. You didn't do what you did because he's a man?
No.
Okay. When he had grabbed onto the fridge and you and Hosanna are going to the living room, did you hear him coming to the living room?
No.
Okay.
Like, I wasn't paying attention, but also there was music playing. So either way, I wouldn't have.
Okay. Okay. Did you feel when you were with Mr. Dickerson that he overpowered you?
Yeah.
Did you feel that he was, like, whether or not he was too strong or strong enough, did you feel that, you know, when he was on top of you, you couldn't overpower him?
Yes.
Okay, just one moment, please.
Sure.
Ms. Rodriguez, is there anything else that you were feeling about that night that you feel like has not been conveyed?
No.
No. Okay. Do you feel that when we're talking about, you know, you going back in the house and the prosecution had said you were the only one, are you trying to pin the arson on Hosanna?
I'm not.
Are you trying to get away with anything?
I'm not.
Why? Tell me what do you mean by that?
I feel like if I was trying to get away with it, like, in all reality, whatever happened inside the house, like, only me and Hosanna know. Yes, they have surveillance, but they only have it on the outside. If I was trying to get away with this, I would deny everything. And that's not what I'm doing today.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms.